Good afternoon, everybody. Dan here with the first review for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah, the new series debuted midnight last night on the West Coast, 3 a.m. on the East, and we've got our first look at it. It's pretty spectacular, I gotta tell you. Now, I'm hoping that popping up here around noontime Pacific will get me a few more hits on the site, but we'll see how that goes. So the episode was called New World Order, and well, there's absolutely going to be spoilers here. So let me turn on the spoiler banner, just in case. Spoilers. So if you have not watched Falcon and Winter Soldier, you're going to probably want to pull away now. I will remind you that there will be a Pop Go the Writers Sunday night. We'll be discussing this episode with Captain America writer Paul Story and former Marvel writer Jim Beard will be joining us. And then the following Sunday, we'll be joined by Tom and Terry Hodges. So that'll be a lot of fun. Got a few other people lined up. Andrew Goggin will be returning on I have the date down, but I think it's the fourth week of the series. And I got a couple other people I'm talking to about coming in, talking about the series. Paul Story will be joining us for all the run. So looking forward to that. Now, let's go ahead and get into our review here. Now, like I said, the episode's called New World Order, and that, I think, ties into the Flag Smashers, which were introduced in this episode. But we open with a lot of action. I mean, that's the neat thing here. It's like coming off of WandaVision, it's a nice change. I know we got some action at the end, but this is pure MCU action. And, instantly it feels like you're in a Captain America movie. Yeah, I know Cap's not technically in this movie, but it feels like we're continuing Winter Soldier and Civil War. That's the mood we're carrying over. Now, Falcon goes on a aerial mission for the Air Force that he's been working with since he got back. He's back a couple months now. So this actually takes place a couple months after Endgame, but not 8 months. So it feels like it sits between WandaVision and Spider-Man Far From Home. So where WandaVision was about a month after, 3 weeks to a month after, this is probably 2 months after. So all of the Westview stuff has probably already taken place, and wouldn't be surprised if they've even heard about it at this point. The Air Force has a soldier who's been kidnapped by George's Batroc and his mercenary crew. And, well, originally Sam was supposed to go help him, but now he has to get him back. They've already hijacked the plane. And it's a pretty interesting aerial fight. He's going from helicopter to helicopter. He's chasing guys in wingsuits. And then he's actually fighting Batroc, which, if you're a Captain America fan, who better than Batroc to kick this thing off? He's not like A-level villain, but he is a consistent villain for Cap. So having Falcon go up to him kind of gives us that, yeah, he's going to be the next Captain America because he's taken on one of Cap's villains. That's Batroc. So Batroc the Leaper. Anyway, so he goes in and he's getting some help on the ground from a soldier named Joaquin Torres, who's looks like he's going to be part of the series, a regular in the series. The actor looks familiar. I don't remember his name off the top of my head. It's Danny Ramirez. He reminds me of somebody. I've seen him somewhere before. Maybe he just looks like the guy from Walk the Moon, the lead singer of Walk the Moon. But he looks familiar, and he's going to be around a bit, it seems like, unless he does stupid things like he did this episode. So he gets in there. He's able to actually save the guy. Batroc gets away in the wingsuit. And then he meets up with Torres, who is very happy this has worked. And Torres seems enamored with Falcon, like looks up to him in a similar way that Falcon looked up to Cap. I think there's a heroism going on there, an idolizing. And Torres is digging into something called the Flag Smashers. And we don't know much about them at this point, but there's an app and talks about them meeting and doing like almost like flash mob stuff, but we know that they're actually, let's see. Brian says he reminds him of Jake Bernthal. Okay. I could see that. So he shows them about the Flag Smashers, and like I said, it's flash mob type stuff. But we know that the Flag Smashers are anti-nationalist, so they're a terrorist group that want to get rid of nations, which will tie into Zemo, I'm pretty sure. Now, that's just a hint at. Then we flip over to Winter Soldier, and we see him doing an assassination mission. But it's pretty easy to tell this is not now, because he's got his long hair, he's got his mask, and he's got his steel arm with the red star on it. So he goes in and he takes out a bunch of guys, kills somebody, and there's an innocent bystander down the hall watching. And the guy is like shaking, trying to get his key in the door. And Winter Soldier just strolls down and pops a cap in him. Which, you think, oh, that's pretty horrible. But, he was brainwashed at the time. Well, we then see Bucky waking up. And when he wakes up, he's on the floor in his apartment, which shows that he's still not adjusting well. If you remember in Winter Soldier, there's a discussion about how soft the bed is between Falcon and between Sam and Steve, and how hard it is to adjust to that, how soft the bed is. You're used to sleeping on the floor. And here we see Bucky sleeping on the floor. He's got his vibranium arm on. But it's obvious he had a nightmare, and he's remembering this past mission. And we go from there to this therapy session he's having where he's blatantly lying to this woman. And she's played by Dr. Rayner, is Amy Aquino. And as they're explaining, as we're finding out that he's made a deal for a pardon, but to get the pardon, he has to do regular psych visits to make sure that his mental conditioning doesn't return, that he's still Bucky and not going to be Winter Soldier again. So, and they're going through this whole thing about how he's supposed to make amends, and he's got this list, and it's like a 12-step thing where you have to make amends at one step. Well, it turns out there's this senator or congresswoman that he helped get elected who was part of Hydra, and when Hydra fell, she just stayed in place and is still using her power for selfish purposes. So he bugs her car, gets information on it, and then it looks like he's going to kill her, but he doesn't. He calls the cops, and there's this whole thing about, you have to make amends. You can't hurt anybody. You can't do anything illegal. So these are the rules about making amends, and he's following them, but it looks kind of iffy. But, she gets turned over to the police, and he's trying, So we cut back to Sam, who shows up in Washington at the Smithsonian for a ceremony where he's turning the shield over. And Don Cheadle's there. So there's our Don Cheadle appearance of James Rhodes. And they talk after the ceremony, and he's like, dude, why didn't you take up the mantle? And Sam pretty much just says it didn't feel like it was his to take. It's Steve's, and Steve will always be Captain America, and no one else should be carrying the shield but Steve. And that's going to be, of course, important later on. But he puts the shield in the Smithsonian. And we then follow him back down to Louisiana, where we meet his sister, Sarah. And she's struggling. Sarah's played by, oh, wow, what a name. Adepero Odai. I'm sorry. I am not good with names, but I'll need to hear it to get it right. And he gets down there, and he finds out that she's struggling, that he's trying to, the house and their business are tied together, and there's a chance he's going to lose the house. He's going to lose they're going to lose the house. They're going to lose the boating business, the fishing business. And he doesn't want that to happen. And she's resolved to that fact. She's already like, look, I've been here 5 years. You were gone. I know what this is going to take, and I know we're at the end. But he's pushing and pushing. And he ends up talking her into going to a bank and trying to get a loan. Well, that doesn't go well. I mean, the loan officer is enamored with the fact that it's Falcon and wants selfies and stuff. But the fact is that a lot of the loan stuff has tightened up because all these people are returning. And they need to rebuild their lives, and they need loans, and the banks have to be a little more cautious now because some of these people don't have any income now. Their jobs are going to somebody else after 5 years. So he isn't able to get the loan, and he's pretty upset about it, and he's trying to fix the boat and whatnot. But we're following him down there. And then we cut back to Bucky, who goes to visit an older Asian man named Izzy, and they go to a sushi bar for lunch. It sounds like they go often, um, and you're thinking through this whole thing. We find out that Izzy has a son who was killed, and he's mourning him, but the son was killed in a way that he doesn't get the answers to. He doesn't quite understand what happened to his son. And you start getting this feeling like, oh, this is going to be Bucky's side mission. This is going to get him back in the game. He's going to go and try to figure out what happened to this kid. And it's going to be something that ties into the Flag Smashers, blah, blah, blah. And while they're having lunch, Izzy tells him that he should ask out the waitress because the waitress is real friendly. And Bucky's like, oh, no, it's been a long time since I've dated. And so Izzy asks her out for him and sets up a date for him. And which is kind of a flip because back in Captain America: First Avengers, Bucky is setting up dates for Steve. Now here, Bucky is getting a date set up for him. By the way, and this is an odd date because he shows up at her place at the place of work at 10 o'clock, and they stay there and they play Battleship while drinking beer. And I got to tell you, I like that kind of date. I'd be up for that. Hanging out, playing board games, drinking beer, just chilling, especially during a pandemic. That sounds like an amazing date right now. But so he has this date and they're talking, and the girl, and I don't remember what the girl's name was. Let's see if they actually have it in here. Doesn't look like she's listed. Meh. Okay. Anyway, so they're talking, and she's tells him that it's real nice. You know, she's asking him a bunch of questions and stuff, but she asks him, you know, or says that it's really nice that you're hanging out with Izzy. You know, he's really upset since his son died, and he hasn't quite gotten over and doesn't have a lot of friends and stuff. And Bucky excuses himself and leaves, just gets up and goes, which is not a good way to end a date. It really isn't. But he then goes to Izzy's house and knocks on the door, and he opens the door, and you see the shrine behind Izzy for his son. It's got a picture, it's got candles. He's obviously, you know, mourning his son, and but then we see the picture, and it's the innocent bystander from the mission that Bucky was having the nightmare about. Bucky killed his son. And this is part of Bucky trying to make amends. And we really get a strong idea of where Bucky is in this thing. He's back. He's been gone for another 5 years. But for him, missing big chunks of time, that's just his life. That's what he's always had. He's trying to cope with the fact that he's free and that he's trying to rebuild a life. But he's got so much guilt over all the people he's killed that I don't know if he's going to be able to get back to his own life. At least that's where he's at now. You look at the Spartan apartment, you look at, you know, the fact that he's doing all this stuff to make amends. He has no friends. He's got like 10 people on his phone. She says, the doctor looks at the phone at one point and says, you're ducking Sam's texts. And the only person you've called in the last week was her, the doctor. So Bucky's got some major issues here. And you know what? It makes a lot of sense. I mean, the only person that kind of kept him on the straight and narrow at that point was Steve. And he doesn't have Steve anymore either. And we're not sure what's happened to Steve at this point. No one is saying he's dead, but it's kind of implied that he's dead. So that's going to be an issue, I think, too. But while all this is going on, Torres, the soldier, the guy from the previous mission, he's gone off to, I believe, Amsterdam because of the Flag Smashers, and he's trying to track down what they're doing. And he goes to one of these flash mobs sets up, and Aaron Kellerman's character shows up with a bag full of masks and starts handing them out to all these people, and they're all doing it on a phone app. You know, it's like, you know, I'm following the Flag Smashers. Well, while they're all putting their masks on and stuff, this guy leaps down from the second floor carrying 2 huge bags, and he's stealing money. It's a heist, and they're using the flash mob thing to cover the escape. And he passes the bags off to other people, and there's this whole thing going on. And the cops come down. They try to stop him, And Torres ends up seeing one of the guys and seeing that he's really strong, and he pulls his gun to try to stop him and gets his ass beat. And it's obvious these guys are enhanced. Yeah, I mean, these are like super soldier level enhancements. So there's a lot going on with the Flag Smashers there. Let's see what Brian says. Dealing with mental health seems to be the theme for this phase. It does. Dealing with mental health and returning from the snap or the blip. Are we calling it the snap or the blip? The snap was gone. The blip was the length of time they were gone. So, by the way, 5 years is not a blip. 5 years is definitely not a blip. You lose 5 years of your life, or if people move on 5 years while you're gone, that's not a blip. That's a dent. So, anyway, so Torres ends up sending all this information to Sam back at his place, and Sam's upset. You know, he can't get the boat working right. He can't get the loan. And he sees this thing, and he sees where these guys are obviously enhanced. And he tells Torres to be careful and just monitor them. Don't get involved again. And then his sister comes in and says, you got to see this, and turns on the TV. And we end with a senator making a presentation in front of the press. And he's talking about how the country is in a bad place. It needs a symbol. It needs someone to believe in. And they announce there's a new Captain America. And here comes John Walker, or Wyatt Russell, at least. We believe he's playing John Walker, in the Captain America modified costume, his own version of it now. But he's carrying Cap's shield. And you see the look on Sam's face. And he's angry. Because he didn't take the shield because it belonged to Steve. And now it's in someone else's hands. So I think he's angry. And this is going to build to a head at some point. But the thoughts on the first episode. Love the opening action. It is really cinematic. I mean, this is the type of stuff you would expect to see on the big screen. And if they took this series and went, hey, we're going to put it up here on the big screen. Do you guys want to come see? I'd be like, it's safe. I'm in. Let me come see it. I'll sit through 5 some odd hours. It's supposed to be 6 episodes, but if they're all 45 to 50 minutes, that cuts it down to closer to 5 hours and change. So I would definitely go see this, because just that opening scene with the wingsuits and the helicopter and jumping around and the fighting and stuff, that's well worth the price of admission right there. And then you've got the scene with Bucky, and he's like busting through walls and kicking the crap out of people. And it's, you know, another really good action scene. You get these 2 action scenes very early on, and then boom, we're into the emotional stuff. We're into the character building. We get a lot of background on these characters. We learn about Sam and him being from Louisiana and stuff. And I know that's not the same history as Sam Wilson in the comics, but this is the MCU. They're going to do things differently. Getting some characters the hell out of New York, because everybody is freaking from New York. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from the Bronx. I'm from here. So having somebody from outside, A, is a great thing. But B, Anthony Mackie is from Louisiana. So this is like his home turf, which is a nice comparison and, you know, or a nice connection for that. Oh, see, now Brian's asking the big question here. He says, Dan, I need the answer to the big question. Who is Mephisto? Well, that's obvious. Torres. Torres is Mephisto. You know, he's going to get Sam into trouble. He's going to bring them all into this. He's guiding Sam. He's obviously Mephisto. No. There's things got way out of hand on WandaVision. People were making a lot of wild ass assumptions, and I did a video last night where I made my predictions on how the Flag Smashers and John Walker are going to fit in, and how I think it's supposed to be it's going to be part of another super soldier serum thing, and that there's going to be black market super soldier serum from the same guy who's making the one for Wyatt, or for John Walker. There's going to be the anger issues. But all of that is based on the Captain America run from 324 to 350 something. The run where John Walker is introduced as Super Patriot, he becomes Captain America, and then becomes U.S. agent. And the Flag Smasher is part of that series. And I think that's what they're using as the loose basis, and then they're going to squeeze that into the MCU. Do I think we're going to get X-Men because they're going to Madripoor? No. Do we get a mutant? Maybe. I mean, I've heard some rumors about a specific character that's supposed to come in. It would surprise me, but maybe. Do I think we're going to get Mephisto, or we're going to get the Fantastic Four? Is the Thing going to show up? Or is Reed Richards going to pop? No. Why would they? Kevin Feige doesn't normally lie to us. He obfuscates. He dances around things, but he doesn't normally lie. And he said that we're not going to get into those types of things in phase 4. He's got a 5-year plan. He's not getting into those things because they weren't part of the 5-year plan. The Fox buyout wasn't even part of the 5-year plan. So no, I don't think we're going to get any of that stuff. I think it's going to be a self-contained story. It'll play into the bigger MCU, the Flag Smasher, but it's not going to be world building that much. Now here's a good question. When do you think this is taking place in relations to WandaVision? Monica returned, and then Monica returned from the blip, and 3 weeks after she returned to S.W.O.R.D. So WandaVision takes place 3 weeks to a month. I think it takes place in about a week's time. So it takes place 3 weeks to a month after everybody returned. Sam talks about having been back for a couple months. So I'm looking at that as being about 2 months. So probably a solid month to 6 weeks after the Westview incident is what we're looking at here. And then, of course, Far From Home is 6 to 8 months. I think it's 8 months after. So that's where I think it fits into the schedule. I think we're looking at about 2 months after. So about a month to 6 weeks after WandaVision is what's taking place. So it's possible that Sam knows what happened, that there might be some reference to it. But how that will play out in here, I think they'll ignore it. I think they'll ignore WandaVision completely, because this series was being made with the idea it was going to come out first, and then it got moved. So yeah. Yeah, the Far From Home time is tripping up, because to us, that was the first thing that happened after Endgame, and that was so long ago now. So every time one of these comes out, we're like, no, it happens before Endgame. It's kind of like trying to explain to my mother when we sat down and watched all of the Star Wars movies that this little kid on this planet was going to be Darth Vader, and that the queen that he's running around with now is going to be his wife, which was still very strange to me. That's still creepy. Sorry, jumping things there. But so yeah, I think that's the timeline. I think we're going to get next episode. I think we're going to get more into John Walker. I think that's going to be the big emphasis of the second episode, is where the hell this guy came from. Might be the third, but I think we're going to get more of John Walker in the second. And I think we're going to have something happens that brings the two of them, Sam and Bucky, back together. The fact that they're not even together in the first episode is kind of interesting. I liked it. I was a little worried from the trailers that they were going to go full on Rush Hour, that it was just going to be humor, action, because of the interactions we saw in the trailers. It looked like a 80s or 90s buddy cop movie. And it feels a little more Lethal Weapon at this point, the relationship between Riggs and Murtaugh. And I'm good with that. I am ready for that. So I'm really curious to see how this is going to play out. But yeah, I think we'll get more of John Walker, get an explanation of John Walker, and I think we'll start seeing the treads or the tracks for the super soldier serum that's used to make Walker. And I really do think it's going to be the same serum that makes the Flag Smashers. And that there's going to be that anger side effect. There's going to be a reason that Sam's going to have to take Walker down. So, let's see. When he had the mask on, he looked just like Kurt Russell. Yes, he did. He definitely looked like his dad there. And I'm not sure how much I like him in the mask. It doesn't frame his nose well. It's not, he doesn't look as cool in it as Chris Evans does. You know, I mean, they hit home run with these castings a lot. And Evans just looked chiseled. I mean, and to think you're getting the guy who played Human Torch in the Tim Story movies to play Captain America? That doesn't make any sense. Makes a lot of sense now. It was perfect. And both Bucky and Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan are amazing in these roles. So I think they you cannot question Marvel's casting. And when they do make a mistake, they are quick to admit it and fix it. You know, look at James Rhodes. I mean, we got rid of Terrence Howard and brought in Don Cheadle, and Don Cheadle is great. Now, nothing against Terrence Howard. I think Terrence Howard is a wonderful actor. He doesn't fit that character as well as Don Cheadle does. So, let's see. I'm really looking forward to the visuals once the show hits Madripoor. I am too. I like the idea that they have to work with Zemo, and I like the idea that they have to go to Madripoor. And like I said, I have a feeling that Zemo started the Flag Smashers or has a role to play with the Flag Smashers, but they have to pull him in to try to figure out where the serum comes from. But again, that's all my prediction stuff. If you're curious, take a look on my YouTube channel and you can see my prediction video. I don't want to I'm getting too much into that. This is more of a review. Really liked it. I wasn't going to stay up last night because I was very tired. I fell asleep about an hour and 15 minutes before it was going to air, but woke up about an hour after that it premiered and went, well, I'm awake now. Turned it on and watched it. And I'm probably going to watch it again in a few minutes because, you know, I want to get that second viewing, get all the action again. Especially the opening. The opening was so fast paced that I kind of want to see it again. I want to see Falcon kick Batrock's ass. That's the big one for me. Definitely want to see Falcon kick Batrock's ass. So, all right, guys. Brian, you got any other questions or any other comments before I head up? All right. Had some other people pop in. Thank you guys for coming by. Hope you're having a great Friday and have a great weekend. Please join me on Sunday for Pop Go the Writers with Paul Story and Jim Beard. We'll be talking this episode in depth, get their opinions on it. Also, if you're on the YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe. Same if you're on the Twitch. If you're on Facebook, how about a big thumbs up? And I'd appreciate that. Yeah, Brian, it's my pleasure. Anytime you got some questions and I'm on, I am happy to answer. And if I'm not on, just throw them into one of the chats or on Facebook, and I'll get some answers for you there. Okay? All right, everybody, have a great weekend. See you soon.